Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. What is up? Yeah. There's some differences here. I got a little bit sassy when I put something up on Facebook last night because the drive-bys were giving me fits and I was done. So you may have noted I had an addendum to the little thing that I put up about this indictment, right? Because the former president was indicted. What makes this different from the Manhattan indictment is that these are it's felony charges. So there's 7 charges. He's got their arraignments at like 2, 3 o'clock in Miami on Tuesday. And this all has to do with the Mar-a-Lago document stuff, right? It all has to do with that. It's all the Mar-a-Lago document stuff. I'm so tired of all of this because it's such an unequal application of the law. And this was like one of the things that I had said. I said this last night. There is, and I'm gonna put this up. I'm just gonna lay this out. The big difference here. And I'm not the only person who said this. I mean, I know what I know and I know what I don't, but I also understand the legal process and I also understand the Presidential Records Act and I also understand the Espionage Act because I'm an educated citizen in my republic. And I absolutely reject this leftist anti-American idea that you have to be some damn constitutional law scholar to understand the basic statutes and criminal statutes and understand basic legal framework of the republic in which we live. So you can fly the middle finger to that argument that you hear from the left all day long. So first and foremost, as I said to the drive-bys yesterday, there is no legal argument. There is no legal theory that legalizes Joe Biden's illegal possession of reams of classified documents. And guys, this goes back decades. Biden's goes back, I think, wasn't one of the things they found like from 1974? It goes back decades. That is a huge difference. And he wasn't president. That's another big, huge difference. Trump's invocation of his inherent declassification power, plus the privileges afforded to the executive under the Presidential Records Act. Now, depending on the scope of the documents in question, and I will add as a side note, there is a set of statutes from the now defunct Atomic Records Act that are still in play. They were adopted from that. They are still in play. So that is a little bit different. However, depending on the scope of what is related to those statutes. However, his declassification power, plus the privileges that he has as the executive with the Presidential Records Act, I mean, that's an actual consideration. And he may win in court on that. I don't know. Now, this is the other thing that I get really aggravated about. There's no equivalency with Biden's illegal possession because of the 2 things that I just stated. His declassification authority and the precedent that has been previously contested, et cetera, and defended with the Presidential Records Act. Biden didn't have that. And for drive-bys who like to shut down every argument they can't counter with whataboutism, this isn't whataboutism. This is talking about unequal application of the law. This is anti-republicanism. This is anti-Americanism. This is going against every single facet of our legal framework because it is unequal application of the law. I do not give a rat's fat ass what you think about Trump. If you hate him, I don't care. What you should be more worried about is God help you if you get somebody like me in the White House who will use this precedent and run you off the rails. That'll happen someday, and the left will be the ones to have opened that Pandora's box. And when you cry, save us, we're going to look the other way. This is what you're playing with. Never, ever, ever make the people who want to be left alone mad enough to act on you. Never do that. Now, there's no such equivalency with Biden's illegal possession, first and foremost. There is none. None. I spent an inordinate amount of time yesterday combing through all my notes, getting receipts together. There's none because of the 2 things that I mentioned, the Declassification Authority, the Presidential Records Act, and the fact, too, can we just also make 2 different comparisons here? And I'm going to tell you why we're doing this in a moment. Trump had his in Mar-a-Lago. Now, that's one heavily guarded by Secret Service resort. And remember, in many instances, a lot of the National Archives people are the people who help move some of this stuff into, the private possession of the executive. This wasn't like Joe Biden, who had it all over the damn Eastern Seaboard. He had it, in the one office, Kane, that he shared with CCP? Yeah. He had that. He had it, by his vehicle. Maybe that's why they're charging Trump, because he wasn't storing them by his car or something like that. It could be.
Cut 17 is a little flashback.
We're going to get to that. Believe. Biden had this stuff all up and down the Eastern Seaboard going back decades when he had no such declassification authority, when he was not protected. None of his actions were protected by the Presidential Records Act. These are significant things. Why am I bringing this up? Because he is the commander-in-chief right now whose DOJ is bringing charges against one of his political opponents going up in the next election. That is why we're making this comparison. You understand now? I mean, at that point, then the question should be, well, why the hell weren't all these other people charged? Hillary Clinton, by the way, and I snapped at somebody another person on Facebook. This is why sometimes, especially on contested posts like this, you don't see me very often, because I'll gut somebody. I'm just done. The older I get, the less humor I have for people who are purposefully stupid in this era of information, where everything is at your fingertips. You know what I'm saying? I posted up online, and this is accurate. I had said that, Hillary Clinton had emails on her server more classified than top secret. And somebody was trying to get sassy with me. Guys, that was the Inspector General's report, as widely reported by NBC, ABC, CBS, Associated Press. Happy to produce those receipts. Happy to also produce the PDF of the IG report, where he also said they were more classified than top secret. She literally set up an independent server so she could sidestep the Federal Records Act. Do not sit here and tell me that, that looks like it's, hyperbole. It's not hyperbole. That's actually accurate. And once again, what did she not have, Kane? Declassification authority. What was she not protected under? Oh, you mean the Presidential Records Act. Big difference. This is why we're talking about the comparisons, because you have people who are in more direct violation. Whether or not he broke the law is going to come down to technicalities. It's a document thing. Now, I understand the caution of some dear friends of mine who are clinically legal to a fault. I get it. But at the same time, they also need to realize, through the perspective of all of these people across the country who, just look at some of the stuff we endured. Guys, we're coming off of the whole collapse of the Russian collusion narrative, where the American people found out that their entire government was working to actually go after individuals because of political partisanship. That's a big deal. That's a pretty significant deal, I think. And so you have this issue. You have the issue of, the FBI going after parents. You have, just look at all of the ways that we have seen government agencies undermine the people's trust by their own actions, not by anybody else. Now you're understanding. And then we see this. We see yet another miscarriage of justice because it's not equally applied. The law is only as strong as it is applied equally. Don't expect a free people to follow laws that you don't apply equally. Don't expect a free people to follow the laws that you yourselves do not follow. So this is where we're at with this. And that's why there are legitimate objections. Absolutely legitimate objections to this. Now, because this is sealed, so I'm not going to pretend that I know what's in these charges, because nobody does. All these people out here trying to act like they know what's in it. It's sealed. This is a sealed indictment. They don't know. They just know the number of charges. And the only thing that we know as to the scope or, the subject is what has been previously reported. That's it. So the whole issue here is A, equal application of law, and B, because this isn't going to be the only indictment. We got federal charges here. At some point, there's going to be something from Georgia. There will be. And then it goes on. I mean, it goes on after that. Now, in some of these instances, I'm not going to get into the other stuff, but with this one right here, this seems really, 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 it seems, it is politically weaponized. I mean, for crying out loud, look at Hunter Biden. Again, whataboutism is the last refuge of the moron who cannot bring themselves to counter an argument. This is about unequal application of law. Hypocrisy is an enemy of republic. And so when you see someone like Hunter Biden, who very absolutely, and I mean, just yesterday, we had Comer, we had the House Oversight Committee. They went to the SCIF. They looked at all of these documents, all of these records pertaining to this money laundering operation that, the big guy had going on. $5 million to Joe, $5 million to Hunter. They had all these shell companies. What did they have? Some of the Burisma people, weren't they in some of these quasi-redacted email discussions? Weren't they laughing about all of the shell companies that the Bidens had created in order to hide this cash? So you're sitting, to me, there are a lot of receipts there and yet no indictment. There's not an indictment. I will say Trump's mistake was not going after Hillary Clinton. Trump's mistake was not he had the opportunity to go after her for the server and he chose not to. So maybe we should have put her in jail. I'm just saying. See, part of me, this is probably not never miss an opportunity to put an opponent in their place.